So Sara Curry is going to be our next presenter this evening. Sara Curry. Sara found yoga after years of running, weightlifting, and contact sports, which left her with debilitating back pain. When her doctors and physical therapists told her that the only options were drugs or surgery, she went looking for another option. Just after 18 months of yoga, she was pain-free and done living on the sidelines of her life. She left a career in special education, thank you for your service there as well, to share with others the life-changing possibilities of yoga. After 11 years in the field, Sara sees more possibilities to use this medium to help people learn to change their lives every day. She's the founder of Bikram's Biggest Loser program, which has helped yogis, thank you, which has helped yogis in the U.S. and Canada shed thousands of pounds in the last 2 years. So please welcome Sara Curry.
Good evening. I suppose in this long list of artists that I'd be the body artist. I'm certainly not a medium artist. And I'm at very best an unlikely yogi. When I found yoga, I was a longtime rugby player. My father's a football player, so I started lifting weights with the high school football team at the age of 10. And when a coworker said, "You should try Bikram yoga, you'd love it," I thought, she doesn't know anything about me. I was shocked, though, in my first class. I was immediately completely enthralled by the yoga, and as you heard earlier, I had terrible back pain from all of that weightlifting and running. And I really there was something about the yoga that spoke to me, and I just felt like it had to be an answer. I took 18 months of dedicated practice, and in the medical field, in terms of herniated discs, doctors have about a 33% success rate. So the fact that I was able to do this on my own was really mind-blowing, for my physicians and for people that I know all over the world. Once you have a back surgery, you have another, and then usually another, and another after that. And so it was my own personal ability through this practice of yoga, with the education of my teachers as well, that made me want to become a teacher. My final frontier was pregnancy, because everybody knows that women that are pregnant have back pain. And I had 2 pregnancies and 2 natural childbirths, and I never had any back pain at all. So I knew that was it. That was actually finally, I wasn't a person that had back pain anymore. In the United States, since I started practicing yoga, the amount of people that practice yoga has quadrupled. So now that 9% of Americans practice yoga, but 44% of Americans consider themselves aspiring yogis. That means 44% of the population wants to do yoga, right? And what's the biggest barrier? It's scary. Look at all those half-naked people. Some of them are in the audience next to you today. And another reason people don't want to try yoga is because there's this misconception that it's not aerobic activity and it's not going to contribute to your physical fitness, which is exactly the opposite. Yoga's cardio, it's strength training, it's flexibility, and so much more. Yoga has the potential to address a myriad of health conditions and eliminate things like chronic illness and autoimmune diseases and stuff that we take a lot of medications that you see advertisements on TV for. And, all those common complaints that people say are just aging are often misuse or underuse of our body. We live in an overstimulated mentally culture, but understimulated physically. And I attribute some of that increase in the attraction of yoga to a lot of notorious people who now practice yoga, people like David Beckham, Dan Marino. You see Jenny McCarthy has her own yoga studio in her basement. But one of my favorite public figures that practices yoga is Kareem. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar started Bikram yoga in the early 80s. And when he came to the yoga studio, he said to Bikram, "I just want to play one more year. I want to have one last good year. I want to go out strong." He ended up playing 9 more years. His son is a certified Bikram yoga instructor, and he continues to practice to this day. And after those 9 years, when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, Kareem, no one had ever scored more points, had more assists, blocked more baskets, won more MVPs, or played in more All-Star games. His little personal success miracle story was inspiring to lots of athletes. So now people like Teddy Washington and Kobe Bryant and Tony Parrish practice. This is Kevin. In December 2012, Kevin gave up. He gave away all of his skinny clothes. He decided he was never going to diet again. He wasn't going to bother with exercising because he was a fat guy, and he was going to be a fat guy forever. He got an email a month later that his wife forwarded to him about the Biggest Loser challenge, and he thought, this is my last chance. In 3 months, Kevin lost 71.6 pounds. He decreased his triglyceride levels by 62%, increased his high density, the good, lipoproteins by 53%, and decreased his LDLs by 35%, and gave himself a whole new outlook on life during tax season. He's an accountant. While he was in a master's program. This is Philip. Philip is one of our regular students at the studio. He practiced dentistry for 20 years, and he picked to specialize. I know, he says he's not torturing that guy. His specialty was adults with disabilities and geriatrics, so you can imagine it gave him quite a hunch, and a life sentence of 25 years of back pain. By practicing yoga, he has not only eliminated the back pain from his life, he's eliminated what he thinks is the biggest gift, the fear of pain. He doesn't think of himself as a guy with back pain anymore. He doesn't hesitate to get on the floor and play with his nieces and nephews. He told me a crazy story of setting up 2 ladders and leaping from one to the other to set up this new light fixture in his new apartment. This is Erin. At the age of 10, she lost 30 pounds in 1 month. She was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which you know is a lifelong condition. She has to stick her fingers 8 times a day still and take insulin after every meal. She even tried a failed pancreatic transplant just to see if she could ever be free from diabetes. When she started practicing the yoga, it made her feel good. It helped her cope with her anxiety. But when she went to teacher training and she practiced 7 days a week, she never had a day that her blood sugar levels were off. According to a Colorado State University study, the heated environment of Bikram yoga actually forces the body to utilize insulin better. So it's really kind of an amazing boon for folks that suffer from juvenile diabetes. This is David. He got the Christmas present of a pacemaker several years ago, and he was on 6 different drugs to control his heart rhythm. After just 1 month of practicing yoga 5 days a week, his physicians took away 3 of those 6 medications and cut the other medications in half. David hasn't had an incident of being paced by his pacemaker since starting yoga, except for one day when he fell fishing and dislocated his elbow. This August, he went off the rhythm medications for his heart. And as his doctor says, I don't know why this yoga does it, but it's making your heart less of a pain in my ass, so keep at it. I have the amazing privilege to stand on the podium every day and help people learn how to help themselves, and it's an incredible gift. It's incredible to watch people transform their lives. It's not just physical stuff, right? You've heard a lot of physical stories, but people who learn to cope with depression and addiction and anxiety and all of these things that we feel like we'll have forever. So thank you for the opportunity to do that.
Sara Curry, thank you so much for that presentation. That was fantastic. Thank you.